All right. So we reconvene for another political cadence. This time we're blessed to have a nice large panel to go over the misdeeds of the day.
Yay!
I just took Lisa's advice and poured some rum in my coffee.
Good, good
We're
job,
out
man.
of rum. I don't know. What do you think? Tequila
It's going
or
to have to be
gin?
tequila.
In
It's
your
the only
coffee?
liquor in the house.
It
Yeah.
sounds a little like mine. I'm just doing peach iced tea. So
Perfect.
I mean,
Coffee.
and that's why I don't have libation in my coffee because all we have is tequila and gin right now. So
Mine was
No, it
plain
doesn't go.
coffee until you put that idea in my head.
I got about two fingers of each. You're welcome, Aaron.
So we have Michael Storm with us today, and he's a has a history in television and production and radio. He also, I believe, is a self-described anarchist, and we'll get him to talk a little bit about that.
What that means to him.
And we also have
Welcome.
Maxx Payne, who is a former professional wrestler with WCW and was it WWE or what was
both.
it? Both? Yeah. And he's coming on with us from the Antisocial Network, where he's part of the Wrestle Shoot program, I believe, with
Mhm.
Rob. And so we're really happy to have both of these gentlemen with us today. And let's
And,
start with
and we should mention again that we're coming to you from the Antisocial Network.
Yes.
that is correct.
Mhm.
That is correct, Aaron.
Yeah.
Um,
And of course, we are once again, as usual, joined by the wonderful Aaron and Will.
so let's start with Michael. Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself, and you're kind of a jack of all trades. It sounds like, but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Man, I'm the free spirit, the old soul, the wise man on the no wise guy. That's it. Yeah.
What?
I'm a family man. I'm a business owner, and I believe in the idea that we out here, us people doing this thing, are what makes this work. Not the politics, not the manipulators, not the bankers, and even the business people necessarily. It's us. It's about us. We're the ones that make it happen. And I believe that my entire life. I've been an anarchist my entire life. I don't. I did, like we were talking about just before the show started, just briefly. I think if you ask different people the definition of anarchist without having them obviously look it up and just feed you a definition, if they ask you if you ask the 10 different people what an anarchist was, they give you 10 different answers. And so I'm just a man, and I believe I'm not going to go around pushing my ideals, my views on people. And if they invite me in and ask me about them, I'm happy to share with them. Otherwise, I want to be left alone. I want to leave other people alone, and just kind of live and let live.
right.
Mhm.
So, like I was saying before, we don't know where everybody's coming from tonight, so that's a little bit different for us. Usually, we get on here and air our grievances before Krampus, you
And
know.
most of our
And
grievances kind of meld.
yeah, and so there's a number of things have happened over the last 2 weeks since we last convened. Probably the most and politically the most significant thing. I mean, I guess that's open to interpretation, but maybe the release of the Epstein files and
Such as it is.
the large, the
Mhm.
deadline was December 19th, and the administration did not come through on that date with the complete files. They've sort of dragged their feet and have
Dribbed and drabbed us.
right, and
Hmm.
which and there's litigation that's being threatened by Representative Massey and to go, to bring against Pam Bondi, and try to cut to the chase and get all the files released. Um, but it's not happening. I don't, the president seems to be maybe hedging his bet. If you read his most current
Everyone's
X
shocked.
Truth Social, yeah. So, Michael, what do you make? I mean, it as an anarchist, and you said you really feel like that the people are really driving this bus.
I'm
What?
guessing that if he's an anarchist, he doesn't recognize the authority of the president.
Um, the Epstein file, it's a hilarious thing. The whole thing is hilarious to me because I can't find it now. I'm pretty sure it got scrubbed, but I remember when the whole thing broke, and I went and I saw some story. I read some story, and it was this multi-parter, and it was over weeks, and I didn't think anything of it at the time because to me this was just another in a long line of sort of, what is the pizza thing in California or whatever, just another hyped up thing, just some other thing. But then it turns out that it's this, long, many years CIA back. He's just the latest in a line, which is what I thought to begin with. That he's just the latest in a line of people who have been used like him to do this to rich people for decades, longer than I've been around for sure. And so to me, the Epstein files is the distraction. Every time I hear somebody say, "Show me the files," all I hear is "squirrel." That's all I hear.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
How about you, Mark or Max? Sorry,
I
I can't really see without my glasses, but I look so pretty.
I come from a business that's a work. I come from a business that's a professional for its entirety from the beginning of time. Actually, I've studied professional wrestling, and it's as old as mankind, and it's a lie. The whole of professional wrestling is based on, it's a lie. And so when you come from a background of a business that's completely based on a lie, then you judge the world through those rose-colored glasses, if you will. And I have to say, I did a show about 5 or 6 years ago called The Pain Lair when Trump first came in to the world of politics. And I always thought it was funny that Linda McMahon ended up in the presidential hierarchy, and that I always believed that Trump was in WrestleMania, for God's sakes, and now there's wrestlers. I just saw not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, Triple H standing in the Oval Office, and so when the only difference between me and Michael is when I hear Epstein files in the wrestling business, it's not called. The wrestling business is so good at avoiding the word lie. They use the word work. We're working the people. It's not lying to the people.
They don't even admit to lie to themselves.
Right. We're working the people. And so when I hear Epstein file, I just hear work. Everything that comes out of the administration at this point, to me, that's why it's very easy to divorce myself from it in so many ways, is because eventually, when you have the World Wrestling Federation literally standing there, forgive me, the World Wrestling Entertainment, standing there next to the President of the United States, to me,
was she Secretary of Education?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she is.
Doesn't it say,
and it's what?
it's a
Just
work.
what?
Right.
It's a work.
The whole thing is a work. And,
Yeah. His previous Secretary of Education was the same thing. Betsy DeVos. Is that her name? Betsy?
right, exactly. The whole thing is just
It was a work too.
just a work. And so it's easy to be cynical because all you got to do is like any soap opera, tune out for a year and then tune back in, and it's just the same shtick a year later. So I love talking about it because it obviously makes great fodder.
Yeah, hairstyles have changed, but nothing else, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, I remember when in 2016, I wouldn't say it was refreshing. I never voted for Trump, but I have to admit that it was must-see TV because I had never seen a politician portray himself, like you said, like a pro wrestler or a caricature.
Yeah.
In that way.
And I mean,
before. And
Grab him by the pussy, right? When
Yeah.
you're in power, they let you do it.
It lasted about as long as
Yeah.
this shit's getting real now.
What was that reporter supposed to do? Billy Bush? What was
Yeah.
he supposed to do when the person he was interviewing, who was running for office or whatever he
Well,
was doing at the time?
He chimed right in like
Yeah.
like he was on board.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what was he supposed to do? He wanted to keep the interview going. I don't think he should have been fired.
But it goes to show that as a citizen, it's easy to get led.
As a possessor of the grab-e item.
It's easy to get led by your nose by this entertainment approach to communication.
Yeah.
Again,
Well-
part of the work, isn't it? Again,
Yeah.
the draw of the sensationalism of say what you want, because in the end, all that matters is what? Eyeballs.
Right,
As long as you got the eyeballs there so that you can get the votes, so that you can do what you want to, in the end, that's all that really matters. And that's the part of where I agree with Michael in terms of anarchy is, to me, anarchy represents that, at what point do you say enough is enough? Really, at what point do you say, okay, this is such shit? I mean, at what point so then you don't believe a word that comes out of anybody's mouth, far right, far left. There's nowhere to turn where you can actually feel like you're getting an honest assessment.
Right.
It reminds me of Brewster's Millions. Vote none of the above.
Well, Michael, when I was looking at your profile, it seemed to say something about citizen police force or something that kind of sounded to me like we've had guests on before that were proponents of defund the police. Now, Trump fancies himself a law and order president. That's extremely debatable at this point. It appears to be more like a jackbooted
It's not debatable.
presidency to me. But let me is that accurate to say that you're kind of defund the police advocate? Or
I'm a defund everything government advocate. I don't see any reason for government. When I look at government, you see everybody else sees this picture of these guys in suits, and maybe there's a woman in there, and there might even be a black woman in there or something like that in some of the pictures, and they see these people. They just see supposedly these normal professional people. What I look at and see is I see people putting on a show. I see exactly what Max is talking about there when he says the WWE, the WWF, the wrestling thing. It's all this big put on, and when you're looking, you start to view the world through those eyes. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I've seen I may have seen you live one time if you did a non TV show performance in Denver back in the late 80s, early 90s, something like that. If you made it to Denver, I may have seen you one time. I've been to a few events over the years. So I view my world through the eyes of sort of putting on a show. Because I never believed that wrestling is fake. I never used that word. That wasn't my word. I knew that wrestling was theater. It's a performance. It's a scripted play. It's there to make you feel and think and do certain things because it's been laid out before you. It's not just people getting in there and pretending like they're doing something. They're actually really well practiced and really well learned at what they're doing in
they have
most
to be
of
to
the
not
cases.
get injured on almost every single event.
Yeah.
I always thought it was just to sell advertising.
Well,
Well,
I
the
mean,
truth-
I think the practice is to avoid injury, I would think.
Well, the
Max?
truth of the matter is, you're right, Lisa. The truth of the matter is wrestling is your goal is, first of all, I take it much. I'm pretty philosophical about wrestling. If we really sit down and you wanted to go into extreme detail with me, my wrestling history, I studied wrestling in college. I was an amateur wrestler. So I was a 3-time All-American amateur wrestler, a national championship team. So I did the real
wrestling, yeah.
I broke in Japan.
A lot of them do.
I lived in a Japanese dojo for
one of our nephews wrestles.
Yeah, so I have this huge philosophical background in wrestling, because I don't only love it, it's who I am at my core. And when I found professional wrestling, I'd already swore it off, because I used to say I could never do that fake shit. And then I actually got into it and realized how much I love the fact that I got to go out there and actually create an environment where I was live creating people's willing suspense of disbelief. You know, people walk into the arena and put their hands on their chair handrails and go, okay, take me away, just like you do in a motion picture. And
or a comedy show.
Pardon me?
Or a comedy show.
Yeah, no matter what kind of entertainment, ballet, comedy, movie, whenever you leave and you go, most people don't know.
Your escapism of choice.
Yeah, here's the great thing about wrestling. During the Depression, wrestlers made money because people needed escapism. And that's the part of wrestling that's always been around, will always be around, is because wrestling fulfills that basic premise in us. Just like great Westerns, you know, when good guys win, they win because they're pure at heart and they do it without cheating and they do it the right way. When bad guys win, it's because they're naughty and they cheat and do things the wrong way. And that's as story lovers, that's what we love as human beings. And the great thing about wrestling is constantly blurring those lines, constantly pushing the edge of those envelopes to try and figure out, you know, how to find the extremes in that. And then when once you've been a wrestler and you're as cynical as I am, that's the hard part about then existing out in the real world, so to speak, is because everything I watch, from the NFL to the NBA to the national, the MLB to soccer, everything I watch, I base on wrestling, because I can't help but believe that the only difference between wrestling and those other organizations now is wrestling has had no choice but to evolve and expose the predetermined part of wrestling.
Yeah.
But wrestling, the key to wrestling, to get back, now here's my tie back to where we started, is the key to wrestling is, we're talking about plane physics, is how do I make my fall disperse over as great of an area as possible? Because if I jump off that top rope and I land on the point of that elbow, I'm going to destroy. That's why guys slap their arms when they hit the ground. That's why they land flat on their backs. It's pure, unmitigated, fundamental physics. How do I break my fall over and dissipate that fall over as much area as possible? And for one reason and one reason alone, because I have to do it again tomorrow.
And that also lends itself to the theater with the exaggerated sounds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the theater, that's the beautiful part of wrestling. That's what makes, you know, that's the true difference. You know, not just the fundamental difference between amateur wrestling and professional wrestling. The great part of professional wrestling is it's cartoons with athletics mixed into it, and that's what I love about great wrestling. It's like watching a live Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Well, I mean, what we're seeing now, though, is we're seeing people that they're removing themselves from the arts. Mick Foley removed himself from the WWE because of his political leanings. He didn't agree with Vince McMahon, or his wife being the head of the Department of Education. He didn't like the direction of that. We see people at the Kennedy Center that are rejecting gigs at the, if you want to call it a gig, place as nice as the Kennedy Center. They're not performing there. They're depriving themselves, drawing lines in the sand.
Oh, you started to say it. You started to say it. They are depriving themselves. They are letting the politics get in their head, and they are losing and passing on opportunities to make themselves better and to be out there in the mix, to have the questions asked of them. If they're good, if they're out there asking these other guys these questions, be they political or whatever, if you're not out there to try to throw in your answer, then why are you even complaining about it at all? You're better off to just button up and go on, do your job, show up for work, and not worry about the other politics of other people.
Well, when they booked the gig, though, it was named something different. It was the Kennedy Center, not the Donald Trump.
Yeah,
one.
the Donald Trump Kennedy Center or whatever. Yeah, that whole thing's silly.
It's called the Donald Trump Kennedy Center, and that's why
I think the word memorial is in there too, which makes it really weird.
Christmas concert.
Well, that's what's alarming to me when you got so many members.
Yeah,
of,
Trump. We can help.
So many, we have a lot of Republican representatives that are resigning, apparently, up to 20, I've heard. But, you also have members of the military that are deciding that they can't, that they can't be part of this administration anymore.
Yeah, they're retiring.
They're retiring. And so you lose enough people that you're going to lose the fight if you lose all your soldiers. Ultimately, we need people to stay and fight.
I mean, if you're going to play the game, you got to stay in the arena where it's at. Otherwise, get out of the game. What are you doing? I hear it all the time. It doesn't matter whether it's from political people or whether it's activists or whatever it is. It's all the same thing. They want to get out of the middle of it. What do you mean you want to get out of the middle of it? And you put yourself in the middle of it to be heard, to make a point, to do something with it. It's funny watching them sort of cower away from the whole Trump thing and run away from him. When he first started blowing up the boats, I thought, oh man, this is a fantastic thing, because now they're going to get him for war crimes. The international community is going to get him, and then all of a sudden it started being about Pete Hegseth, and I thought, oh, that's right. I didn't forget. I totally forgot. He's just going to throw somebody else under the bus.
Right.
Which, of course,
not to mention he's been threatening the international courts as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anytime you do anything that Trump doesn't like, now you're subject to attack.
Yeah.
Oh, I did check, and Admiral Bradley is not apparently related to General Omar Bradley from World War II and I.
Which would have been an indirect link to her family.
Right. Omar Bradley is not an indirect link. He is a direct link. He is in my Ancestry.com.
Fair enough.
Apparently, we've done some strikes in Nigeria now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't that connected to Syria somehow?
ISIS.
Oh, ISIS.
They claimed that there were ISIS terrorists in Nigeria.
But there was something about Syria. And some 2 soldiers and a reporter or a civilian who were attacked, and they're talking about reprisals in Syria.
Really?
Actually, they were killed.
Yeah. Thank you, Will.
Right. Well, I mean, and so that was Christmas Day, right? So Merry Christmas. We're going to bomb the shit out of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Guys, you just know Christ would be so proud of that.
Right.
He's the peace president. Right? Give him a prize.
Look, I'm celebrating my birthday. Gosh, perfect thing.
And then right on the heels of that, Lisa was talking earlier today. She said, should this be a fuck up? His ex post on Christmas Day where he basically
threatened America.
Yeah.
He spent the whole day doing post after post, basically saying, watch out.
He did it on Thanksgiving, too. We were liberal scum then, too, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was it?
But this time he said, enjoy this Christmas because it may be your last.
Right.
That is a direct threat, in my opinion.
He did an ex social or true social post where he basically just said Merry Christmas even to all the Democratic scum that
has anyone ever shared a Truth Social post from anyone other than Trump? That's my question.
Not that I'm aware of.
Nobody else uses it. It's just his megaphone.
Yeah, right.
But his soapbox.
Right. But
one that he can't get kicked off of.
But I mean, he's crossing over. I mean, the true social post is one thing. That's theater. That's what we were talking about before. That's the
Sure.
That's a cheap
It's work.
distraction that he can toss out like bird feed all day
At
long,
2
right?
o'clock in the morning when
But-
he's on the,
But now we're talking
Right.
about a bull in a china shop because he's blowing the shit out of people. It seems merely to make political diversions.
Keep seizing oil tankers from Venezuela too.
it's like,
And I know people
How
say
many-
all
why do you
presidents do this. You know, they'll say they'll
They
make that
don't do
false
this.
equivalency. And say, they do not do this. That is
What
right.
he's looking for, guys, is he's looking for any excuse to get into a war because it's going to make him look good.
Well,
Right.
it's going to earn him money too. I'm
in
sure.
his opinion.
hmm And he's already
He doesn't
drifting
have
into-
enough. Ish. Does he need
It's sickness
more?
with some
Is
people.
there
I mean,
ever?
he's made all his kids billionaires.
What's that, Max?
I said, is there ever really enough money when
Yeah.
you have that much money? I mean, that's the irony. People who have that much money, there's never enough. I mean, look at Elon Musk. He's a classic example. Is that there's, so now he's going to be the first trillionaire. What's he going to be?
Yeah.
You think he's going to stop there? He's going to want to be the first 2 trillionaire. That's the part.
Quadrillionaire.
Yeah, the money thing just, when you the old adage, you always hear people say the money is the root of all evil. It's not the money is the root of
The
all
love of
evil.
money.
Love of money. And whenever you hear people like Trump talk, and you can always tell the people who their love of money is first and foremost in their ideology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you get to that level, it has to be, because the reality is once you get past a certain point in money, once you reach a certain point, and I don't know what this magical number is, but there is such a number, you end up spending more of your time watching your money and trying to make sure other people don't take your money from you than you do anything else.
Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of
yeah.
what kind of life is that? I mean, the truth of the matter isn't just like, I mean, okay, there is a classic example. I mean, I watch it every Christmas. I watch Scrooge every Christmas for that exact reason, to remind me that there's so much more money than the Toppins that all that he cared about. And the whole point of Jacob Marley and that incredible story of A Christmas Carol, to remind us that what matters is our humanity. Not money, not, are there no poorhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no orphanages? That's the shit right there, that when you hear those things, you have to remind yourself, what kind of a nation are we when we completely and utterly turn our back on the mentalities of the past, which always, to me, was the part of America that made me proud. Was that we at least, whether it was a work or not, we at least tried to make ourselves feel better, that we were trying to make the world a better place. Now it's like, fuck it, let's just screw everybody and
It's a race to the
try
bottom.
try to disguise
Mhm.
the worst crooks in the world.
Right. Like I struggled like a lot of people did, probably, with we'd go to a show and they talk about pronouns, and then you'd say Merry Christmas to somebody and they'd come back with oh, Happy Holidays to you. There's these types of things.
I'm not Christian.
But I always
I'm
felt like it was
It's
a
America.
well-intentioned effort to correct a centuries-old wrong, and I was like, okay, I got to rethink the way I do things,
There's a point at which I think woke kind of stepped off the cliff.
But MAGA has taken
I-
that whole thing and turned it
I know we agree to disagree
against.
on that.
I mean, it's
A little
turned
bit.
it against. It's turned it into a cottage industry of victimization. Why do I have to self-loathe because I'm white? Why do I have
Why
to?
is DEI the Lucifer in this situation?
Yeah, and it's like,
That's not okay.
And so the end result has been this effort to like ratchet up the cruelty. Like I can be the king of cruelty. The money is all part of that. It's very.
This is what I see the system as. This is why I'm an anarchist. This is what the system is. It is a way to get one up on the next guy, and it is a ratcheting effect. It never comes back down. Whatever they take, they never give back to you. And if they do give it back to you, it's after they take their cut of it all. And so you see that doesn't change. It doesn't matter which one of them calls themselves president or whether there's an R or a D next to their name, because the system itself is the problem. It's the broken idea that one person all of a sudden who has no ability or power to do anything, has no moral or legal right to do anything against his neighbor, suddenly votes on something. And now, because myself and the neighbor there and that guy over there decide we want to take that guy's property, I mean, that's the best that democracy is. No matter what end of it you look at democracy, if it's 99-1, there's 99 people that just ganged up on the one guy. If you go in the other direction, there's no better. One against 99 other people, that one gets to make the decisions. And it's no better if you meet in the middle. It's no better if 51 people run around telling 49 other people how to live. And that may seem like hyperbole, but then you get to a small town just outside of Topeka, Kansas here, where there's literally like 80 people in the town and the vote is 51% to 49%. Who's right in that when it's talking about if you don't participate in this, if you don't want to do this and we vote yes, you will be forced by law to do this.
To do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is something we've been spoon-fed again over the decades, and basically we've allowed ourselves to accept this as now a way of life. When you look at it, I mean, it's like with capitalism, we've been spoon-fed this idea for decades about the American dream, but it goes back to what George Carlin once said. Do you know why they call it the American dream? It's because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Yeah.
That's an excellent quote.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched the show Pluribus?
The other part that drives me crazy
is
good.
I'm all caught up. I've finished season 1,
really
I guess.
But it's the age-old story of divide and conquer. They tried to kill her with kindness. He did it in a very inventive way, but it was still aggressively political the way they isolated her and really psychologically tormented her. Really.
Yeah.
But Phil, that's a great point, and that's where I was just going to say, it's false kindness. It's false Christianity.
Right.
It's the sense that, I'm a Christian and I use my Christian values to Trump is the most classic.
Send brown people out of the country. Yeah.
It's false sense of Christianity that this is the way Christ functions. Well, you don't, because Christ's fundamental 4 simple principles, that if we all just adhere to those 4 simple principles, and I'm not trying to preach Christianity, that's not what I'm doing at all. But I agree with all of those 4 principles. He believed in 4 major things: take care of the poor, take care of the sick, take care of the immigrants, and take care of the prisoners. That's what Christ preached in the 4 first books of the Bible. And if you really want to find, that's the part that gets so distorted and demented by that ridiculous right-wing mentality that says, oh, you know what, man, we can do whatever we want as long as I wear a cross while I'm
right.
Oh, those crosses.
Yeah. I can't stand that. As soon as I hear that mentality, I switch right to, oh my God, it's Saturday night's main event. It's such a fucking work.
They're Latter-day Crusaders is what they are.
Well,
They're like,
exactly.
And the sad part is, guys, it's gotten to the point now with the radical right to where that cross is no better than a swastika.
No. Well, that's what a swastika is, a bent cross.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And
you're exactly right.
Mhm.
And then it's all disguised.
Swastika's original meaning wasn't far from the meaning of the cross.
Right.
Right.
no.
They
And
flirt
by
with
the
that iconography in many different ways.
those necklaces
Embedded
are
in-
crosses.
in
They
American
are
flags.
lowercase t's.
Mm.
But yeah,
You're welcome.
the
I'm
hypocrisy,
with you.
the hypocrisy of the regime, you know, and I don't believe Donald Trump. If he, you know, I saw him in a church on Inauguration Day where the priest, you know, read him the riot act justifiably so, but I just don't believe he's a religious person. I don't believe he. I really do
No,
not.
didn't
No,
he tear gas a church in his first term for a photo op?
Well,
And he had the
but
Bible upside down.
Aaron, the great part of that's what I was just going to say. The great part about that photo op was not the tear gas, was him standing in front of a crowd and not even being aware of the fact he's holding the Bible upside down and he's holding the cross upside down right in front of all of us. And I'm going, dude,
And
do
not
you
only
not
that,
know what you're doing?
right? But not only that, but keep in mind also, when he was sworn in this time, he didn't even put his hand on a Bible.
Not even his own, not even his Trump illustrated Bible, or whatever the hell it is.
Family Bible.
No
Golden
Bible
Boss.
ever.
Yeah,
because they're allowed to use whatever Bible they want.
the art of the deal. That's Trump's Bible.
The
Right.
Trump Bible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'd be remiss, especially since Aaron, you know, if you guys didn't know, Aaron's friend Say was featured in a congressional hearing recently when Representative Magaziner introduced him at Kristi Noem's hearing, where they were talking about
Veterans.
veterans who
Deported
had been,
veterans.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Oh.
what's going
Yeah,
on with
Say moved
Say?
here from South Korea when he was 7. He fought in Panama during, I guess it was the Reagan administration, probably 88.
My older brother was in Panama.
He
Where he
took
contracted
friendly
transmission.
fire in the back. I put my finger in this weird indention in his
Oh, yeah.
spine.
Yeah.
But
It's even weirder when there's shrapnel still in there.
yeah, he's the first person I ever knew that was addicted to crack. I watched him throw up blood into garbage cans.
Mm.
And that crack addiction kind of led to him not reporting to his whatever his appointment for what you have to do for citizenship.
Oh, immigration.
He said if you come back with dirty urine, don't come back, and he knew his urine was going to be dirty.
So he didn't come
So he
back.
didn't come
He
back.
didn't go back, and they made him self-deport, I think, in June.
Okay.
And yeah, Magaziner said, so can you explain why it is that you're deporting U.S. combat veterans? She says, we're not. And he says, well, I have here Sejun Park. And he holds up an iPad and says on a Zoom call. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a.
No, and there were other examples. It wasn't just Sejun Park.
He might be joining
Okay,
us.
it
He might
was.
not. I don't know. But
He
did do it.
plans to, yeah.
Okay. There's a. I have. Do you want me to play a little bit of that interview?
He's gone to Vietnam for a few weeks where he's being interviewed by 60 Minutes. And when he gets back to Korea, we'll schedule an interview or schedule
You
it
think 60 Minutes will actually air the
Yeah, I bet
interview?
our interview goes up before
up to
60
Barry
minutes.
Weiss, isn't it?
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Let me play a little bit of an interview that he's actually in.
Oh, cool.
Let's see.
They should just change it from 60 Minutes to Trump News Incorporated.
Is this the one he just did with CBS in
Yeah.
LA?
Eventually, he got sober and was told he could remain in the U.S. For more than a decade, he's gone through regular ICE check-ins.
What ICE put Mr. Park on, considering his service as a combat veteran, is they decided to put him on what they call deferred action. And essentially what deferred action means is that, hey, we know you have a deportation order, you have these convictions that cause you to be deportable, but considering your service,
Routine check-in with ICE over the summer, Park was told he would be deported.
He had his cuffs out. He was ready to detain me, put cuffs on me and everything, which was unbelievable. I mean, why would I have to go back into jail for something I didn't do anything wrong? And then it took him a while, but he got the okay from the supervisor to put ankle bracelet on me, and then let me know that I have 3 weeks to remove myself.
Park now halfway across the world, away from his home and his family.
Like I had to leave everything behind. My kids, my mom, who has Alzheimer right now, and she can't remember anything, and so it's just been really tough.
All right, just a little bit of that, but we hope to have him on. But I think it brings a number of issues. Of course, the ICE, the activity of ICE, which is becoming always ever aggressive, but also the media. You know, I joked about, you know, we might show him before 60 Minutes does. That's because 60 Minutes is now under the thumb of CBS. In fact, the entire news division is under the thumb of the administration now, and that came to a head this week when there was a
CCOT.
Yeah, the segment on the Venezuelan immigrants who were sent to CCOT, and this, I don't know if you guys saw the segment, but it was real. My sister called that.
I think it got more views than a regular 60 Minutes segment would
Right,
have.
right.
That's what I
Had they just let it air on 60 Minutes and edited it the way they wanted to, it probably wouldn't have gotten barely any press at all.
Well, we can take our neighbors up north for actually airing it. Canada.
Let's do. Oh, Canada.
Right.
Thank you,
Canada.
It's a boot
My
time.
home and native land.
What's wrong? What's wrong with this country? I mean, honestly, you know, I'm an immigrant. I'm like a first generation after my father immigrant. My dad came from Sweden when he was 5 years old. And
Oh, you're the immigrants he wants. He said, why can't we get more immigrants from Norway and Sweden?
Well, but the point is there's no such thing as there's no such thing as an American. There's not, you know, that's what I love. Even Ronald Reagan said it. You know, you can live in France your whole life and nobody will ever call you a Frenchman. You'll never be a Frenchman because you're not French, you know. But when you come to America, the whole reason America is so wonderful is because we are a country of diversity and immigration. That's what makes this country so amazing, is everybody that's ever wanted freedom and respect and have the dignity to create their own life still believes that America is that shining place on the hill that you can come to and still create and pound out your own life and become an American. And
give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free.
We all decide that immigration. So what Joe Biden did just made it worse by just completely opening the doors and just like forgetting any idea of control.
Of restriction or control. Right.
Biden deported a lot of people too.
But we should never, ever, ever dissuade immigration into this country, man. I from South America to anybody, if you want to come to America, immigrants have proven over and over and over and over again. That's what makes America great. That's why
the seasoning in the stew.
Well, I mean, they're fighting this on many levels. They're fighting it in the streets of Chicago and Los Angeles, places like that, Los Angeles. But they're also they're trying and failing in this instance to fight it with censorship. And so they're trying to make heads. You know, they're running out of time. By the way, they're halfway through the first 2 years of his administration. And if the Democrats win the midterms, all bets are off. But Michael, I was wondering, in an anarchy, what does the press look like in an anarchy? I mean,
in a stateless society, which is a pipe dream. It's a utopian dream. It'll never happen. People aren't ready for anarchy. I'm an anarchist, and I will tell you that most people are not prepared for the personal responsibility that is required of the individual in a stateless society. But in a stateless society, the press is anybody who wants to get out there and start running a paper, start running a blog. It doesn't. There's no state to tell it that it can't do that, or at least if there is a state, I believe it's theoretically possible to have a voluntary state where you can come and go, and that the state itself doesn't have necessarily the legal authority to just go around doing whatever it wants to do. That's a problem with what we have now, is that there's nothing that stops anybody from doing anything. They set up all of these wonderful little documents and things and founded this great little nation, and then they threw all that shit out the window about 80 years later and started killing each other and called it a civil war. So we don't, it's not, there's nothing here in the system that's inherently different or better than anywhere else, except for the way we viewed it. What you were just talking about, Max, it's the idea that we can come here and that we're supposedly free and that we can pursue those things that we want to do. That's all there is in a stateless society. It's no different than it is now. Generally speaking, what I envision an anarchist utopia would be, it wouldn't be any particularly different than it is now, except there's not one particular group who has a legal right or ability to force others to do what they want to do. Everything is presumably voluntary, and if you America's a really good example of this, because I don't believe you throw the baby with the bathwater, right? You keep the baby, you change the bathwater. That's the idea, right? Well, so the baby here is the idea that we're all free. It's the Declaration of Independence. That's the most important founding document, obviously. The other two don't mean anything. But the first one is that statement that governments are created by men, not the other way around, that the things that we believe are right, that are ours by our right of life, are ours not because they're given to us by government. And so what they did is they said, well, all these things exist, supposedly, at least for white people and white men, anyway. And they said that what we need to do is we set up a very rudimentary system that has a very strict organization and rules set before it, and it has powers that are expressly laid out before it, and it can't do anything else. But the problem with that is it doesn't work. You see what you have here. Either the Constitution failed to prevent what we have now, or it made it possible. Either way, it didn't work. Either way, the government looked at those rules and it found ways around those rules. So it isn't about the organization of the government. That system, no matter what system you give the authority that the individuals don't have, that was the point that I was making earlier, is that we as individuals don't have the authority to do these things, but magically we go and vote on it, and all of a sudden the collective has an authority to do it. That's just gang mentality to me. That's all that is that's for, especially when so much of it is nothing to do with protecting people or property. It has to do with generating wealth for the state or making you fall in line in a certain way. So the anarchist society is the society where you and I are doing what we do. Nobody's telling us that we can't do it. And the only real consequence is for bad action. If you're a bad actor, there's nobody out there that says they have the right first to determine that that's a bad actor and punish them for it. You take those, as crazy as it sounds, you take that into your own hands and you deal with it. But in an organized society, things like religion, businesses, protection, insurance, stuff like that, these things would all still exist. These things all still, because these are voluntary organizations, voluntary systems of protection. You asked about the police earlier. The thing about the police is that we don't need police. We need people who respond when people need help. We don't need people driving around the streets looking to find somebody who is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, whether it's not using the turn signal or whether it's jaywalking.
Where the streets go?
What that?
Basically, it's
So
everybody has
who
to
paves those streets and decides where they go? That's the kind of
Right.
the
Yeah, well, they certainly don't, and they didn't build the cars. They didn't build the cars that we drive. And who says that they should have permission to make us register our cars so they can track us and tax us? Who says that we don't have the right of travel? The right of travel was such a recognized idea, an understood idea in our system. They didn't even think it was worthy of putting down in the founding documents. Of course, we have the right to go wherever the hell we want to go, unless it's somebody's private property and they tell us we can't go there. That's the problem with the immigration thing, right? You're telling people that they can't cross lines. Well, where does that stop? When do you start telling me that I can't cross the line, that I can't go? What's the difference of somebody crossing the line necessarily from Mexico into California versus California into Utah? Nothing inherently.
I will say this real quick. An atheist friend of mine, and I know quite a few atheists, she said that she doesn't understand how you just don't know right from wrong. And that why do you need an all-powerful overlord to tell you whether you're right or whether you're wrong? And usually an all-powerful overlord, well, power corrupts.
Yeah, absolute
You
power.
can get what we have here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, this is something that we've been spoon-fed for decades in believing.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we
Down to
usually
our last
do.
9 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
we usually do a F up in a fortnight. I feel like this has been a very vigorous, really good show.
Yeah.
So sometimes we forego.
It's too fast.
Yeah.
Just getting into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Well,
Wow.
I mean,
real quick.
we can log out the episode and do like a second part 2.
I don't know if we go another hour, but
Right. Well,
I just want to
doesn't
say
have to be an
real
hour.
quick to go in conjunction with what Michael said, because I agree with every word that Michael just said. But okay, this it's not a but, is something different. But from the time I was a little kid and I was in school, I'm going to go back to the shining dream on the hill. That I believe what's right about America is, out of all of the stuff that makes America a beautiful place, is the fact that there is no other country in the world that is as diverse as America. And because of that, we have this tremendous opportunity and ability to be that shining beacon, not for the rest of the world, but to ourselves.
To ourselves.
That gives us the opportunity to overcome racial prejudice. I look at where race was years ago, and things have changed dramatically from when I was a kid. I grew up in Utah, and there were no black people in my community. I didn't grow up with one black person in the high school I went to.
Right.
Phil and I went to an all-white high school
Right.
also.
So here we are in a country that if there is,
I thought you had at least one.
If there is one place on earth that can actually, all my point is, Michael, is the belief system, and the system is in place. And I think you're exactly right. Is the Declaration of Independence is the preamble of the Constitution that
When
says,
in the course of human events it becomes necessary. Yeah.
right, and that's the part that I'm getting goosebumps, because no matter whether it's Trump, no matter who the fuck is at the top of the heap or whatever, when people like us sit around and talk to each other, I think that's the one common goal that we all really believe deep down inside. And if you don't, that's like you were saying, who needs somebody to tell you that racial equality, we shouldn't have to legislate that. It should just be a mandate.
It should just exist.
Exactly. It shouldn't be. Who has the right to tell a gay couple they can't be married? Who has the right?
Not me.
You know what I mean? And that's the point of what I'm saying. What makes America beautiful, and I'll get off my soapbox real quick, is that this is the country that, if there is the power to change, You know, that if there is that moment where all of our hearts, where we all went, you know, just a classic example. If everybody in America decided tomorrow, you know what, fuck this bullshit. We're going to march on Washington and pot's going to be legal federally tomorrow. We all know that if we really believe that in our hearts as Americans, we could make it happen tomorrow.
Okay, where do we show up?
Exactly, right?
I get the old goosebumps too, but I think about you know,
I want my
Williamsburg
doctor to be able to.
when you had
diet-
Thomas
to
Jefferson and
prescribe
George Washington
pot.
going to the
I
Golden
just
Lamb.
didn't ask for anybody's permission.
Right. Well, you don't
That's
have
the
to
difference
say it.
between me and anybody else looking at this system. I don't care what their rules are.
But at the
I'm
same
not
reason
interested.
want
It's
the
nice to be able to
prescription-
drive
let
to a
me say
dispensary
this.
instead
The
of.
only reason I want the prescription is because it would be included in my prescription plan.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yes.
Ironic that
Wouldn't it be
Yeah,
great if you
flexible
could
spending
set your own
account.
healthcare terms, like in a true free
I
market,
know,
instead of
right?
a socialist mixed economy, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it? Yeah.
Go buy yourself an ounce, Lisa.
I said the pot.
Well, I mean, I have marijuana. I have it in the other room. That's not the point.
Now I got to
Yeah,
edit the
that's
podcast.
right.
Now I
I
got to
got
edit
pot.
this episode.
No, you don't. It's
I
legal in
love it.
Ohio.
See, we're all on the same page.
I got it legally. I went to a dispensary. I showed my ID. I let the government know I'm using.
I go
Well, the
to a
only thing-
sketchy
I know, gotta
dispensary
tell you,
that only charges 85 an ounce.
Commitment that they're not gonna. The state of Idaho is like vowed they're gonna be the last state in the union that makes pot legal in any fucking.
I don't know. Kansas is
Why?
trying real hard.
Why?
There's a lot of fucked up things in Idaho, though.
Why?
Well, I kind of got
What's the
goosebumps too,
problem?
Max, when we were going over all that, and I was like, you know, you got George Washington, Thomas Payne, Thomas Jefferson at the Golden Lamb discussing democracy at its infancy and all this stuff.
Oh, the
But
Golden
at
Land
the
is here in
s-
Ohio.
At the same time, don't let
Isn't it?
it spoil my narrative here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At the same time, they had slaves back at their plantation.
Exactly. Oh, no,
They weren't
exactly.
doing the right thing, even though they were
Jefferson was
talking
fucking
about
his
doing the right
slaves.
thing.
And the preamble's missing one major fucking word in it. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be all men. It should be all men and women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All humans, all
It should be
people.
all
good.
humans.
All
or
people are
persons.
created equal.
It should be all
No,
people.
no. All persons. Okay? Okay.
It's the Golden Lamb.
Hold on.
That was
Hold
my-
on. All
was my point.
persons.
Aw.
Okay?
So we got about
Yeah, I
2.5
saw that one running
minutes
around back
left.
there.
Do you
Yeah,
guys
let's-
want to promote your stuff
Here we
and give your
go.
social
Yeah.
Oh,
Aw,
yeah,
hi.
cat
Michael,
fancy your day?
Yeah.
where can we find you, Michael? What's
Pretty baby.
projects?
Yeah, I'm you can find me at towardanarchy.com. If you type Toward Anarchy in any search engine, it should pull me up.
That is
And I'm at
TOWARD
Toward Anarchy
for
on
those
most
who can't
social
spell
media.
it.
All right. Max, where can we
Yeah,
find you?
I'm kind of a socially illiterate son of a bitch, but you can find me at Daryl Peterson on Facebook. I have a it's a little out of date right now, but you can go to the Payne letter, all one word, on YouTube, and you can track me down there as well. But you can, if you really want to find me, I'm out there. Facebook,
All right. The
All
Payne
right.
letter on YouTube.
Payne Lair, Paylair,
Okay. Payne Lair, not letter. Payne Lair.
This has been a great conversation. Will,
thank you, guys.
Aaron, thank you for.
Will, do you have anything to promote or want us to send good vibes
Like-
for?
Reds and Bengals,
And
apparently.
your job hunt?
Well, right now I'm going through some things, so I am currently having a GoFundMe,
Mhm.
and so far I've had 3 donations, which I thank
Oh, great.
them very, very much for. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Do you
great.
know,
Yeah,
do you know the URL for that off the top of your head, Will?
Not off
Okay.
top, but I
Maybe
can
we'll
send
stick
you.
it in the show notes.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Mhm.
All right, guys,
Okay.
been a blast.
Well,
Thanks, everybody.
Aaron, any
Again.
promotion?
I enjoyed it.
It was an honor.
Um,
Thank you.